All right, Real Talk with Mo. Glad you could join me. It's another beautiful day. Hope everybody's doing well. Check me out, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Also, check out www.cblifestyleandapparel.com. That's the where chasing billions, counting blessings, chasing billions. Get with the program. So I'm gonna get into something. I haven't done a reaction to Lapeef in a while. Lapeef-Let'S Talk, great show. Lapeef Network, check it out. I'm a member, become a member. I love the discussions. I love the conversations. They just good conversations. Women, men having good conversations. Making some good points for the most part, and it's just a good little thing. I know they got more stuff going on too. You could check all that out. Not taking anything away from them. Go check that out. Everything's amazing. I just want to talk about something. Sometimes I listen to the videos, a little 8-minute video, 9-minute videos they have. Sometimes, there's certain points, certain topics that hit me harder. Some, I've heard before. It is what it is. This one, I would say, it's usually a guy on the Anton. We follow him. I think he's, when you go on the channel, you'll see he had a lot of things going on or whatever. You follow him on all his too. Everybody on there, like I said, real cool. Just for me watching, I don't know any of them personally. So, yeah, so he usually I would agree with him probably the most. He just seems like, we have the same thinking about a lot of things. But then sometimes people go off the rails. Sometimes that's why I say you can't. Sometimes it's a fine balance, man, and sometimes it goes. So this one was called "Supporting Feminism, Marriage-Minded Women Today." Marriage-minded women today. I think they're talking about like modern women and stuff like that. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna give you my, there's a lot I have to say because I watched the video already. Had to watch it again just to make sure like I was understanding what his point was, because he went off rails to me a little bit, and then I looked in the comments, and it was, everybody who usually watches agreed with the same thing. So we're gonna go.
On this episode of Lapeef-Let'S Talk, fall into your femininity, because he's not going to put you in a place where you got to compete for resources and need you in order to pay the bills. It's a certain level of leadership that you're going to fall under by default because that's your inherent nature as a woman. Yes, some things can be learned and some things are learned behavior, but instinctually, women are still who they are when they get under a certain type of guy. And when a certain dude moved through the room, and Mr. Logic, it's true, me and you connected in person the other day, and I'm not talking about me, I'm not talking about you, but just on an observation level, when a certain dude or when certain people move through the room, women inherently get up under his leadership and don't question it even a little bit. And when you see him move around certain other dudes, they move a certain type of way. It's not hard to figure out. People are who they are. A woman today, a modern woman today is no different than a modern woman in 1920. It's the same thing. It did not change. I'm single. No, now, in my opinion, you trash.
Well, see, now, I know they usually give you a little snippet, so that's going to go at the end. But just to talk about that right now, like, I think he's way off base on that one. Like, women today, modern women today, there was really no modern women back in the day. Like, that wasn't a thing, right? It wasn't a thing because a lot of different reasons, which is, they didn't really have the options to do that. And they didn't really, that was the main part probably because they didn't have the options to do that, to be a modern woman. It wasn't being pushed at the time either. It's not a thing that was going on where people were pushing for it or striving to get to a certain level for that. So he just talking out his ass on that one. I don't even understand what he's saying because that's not true. There's no way you could tell me women are in the same position they are today as they were in 1920, or they were the same mindset or thinking as that. So that's bullshit. So I'm gonna let it go.
Because if you're not a reflection of what I want when you're single, then I'm definitely not rocking with you when I'm deciding to marry you, because you can't turn it on and off. You just gonna mask it, and then eventually the real you is gonna come out eventually.
I mean, in college, people were doing shit that you wouldn't think. Like, before Rita, every girl that you mess with, did you want to marry them?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so that's moving in a different way.
But here's the thing. I didn't want to marry Rita when I met her either. The goal wasn't to get married because I didn't change into being marriage minded. I was just trying to be the best version of myself. And then when somebody stuck around long enough in my network that made sense for me, because
see, he's too. this is what I said this a lot of times, man. This is my main point from watching the video. I'm getting all like frustrated with it now, and I'm not gonna be emotional. I'm past that. You know what I mean? I'm an adult. I know logical. He'll get emotional for you. Not on this channel. Not on this one though. But just fucking with him. The you know, I would say this, man. Like I say this a lot, man. I say this a lot about these gurus and these people. You get to a certain point, man. You start to elevate. You start to elevate your thinking, your income, possibly. You know, that could be part of it. And you start to see the world in a different layer, right? I think everything has like layers. I think when I think about it now, you know, I'm just coming off the head with it, but I think like the world is layered, right? You at a certain point you down here and you see the world from here. Like you don't get to see. You can see it up there, but you can't really observe it, except when you're down. Right, you're down, you observe everything and the people around you, you can see things, right? Then you get to another level, you observe the world here. But you can't see down anymore, right? You don't really see down the same way. You kind of look straight down instead of observing the areas, kind of how I'm thinking about it. And then you get to another level, another stratosphere, another level, and you can't really see below as good as you could have saw before. And I think that happens in a lot, man. I think that happens a lot. And people start to, and then when you start to give advice, you're giving advice from up here, and you're trying to give advice down here, and it's not making sense because you're still observing here. Like you were here at one point, but you forgot about it. And I think that's what's going on. Like when I hear Anton talk sometimes, that's what I get. It's like you observing the world from here, higher plane. Like I get it. Focusing on yourself, all that shit. When I was a kid, I'm in high school, get my car. Right, I grew up, you know, in neighborhoods, you know, the hood, whatever you want to call it, you know. And it was getting the car, right? Getting the girls, hanging out. You know, I wasn't really, you know, I was doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, you know, illegal, whatever. And you know what I mean? Like, that was the focus. That was for me, that was the focus. Not for everybody, right? I'm just saying somebody from that layer, that level, that's what we did. Right, that's what we did. We focused on the girls. How many girls can you get? How many girls can you bag? Oh, she bad. I'm gonna try to get her. Blah blah blah. We hanging out, partying, doing all that stuff. Right. I'm talking about middle school to high school. That was like the focus. I ain't really go to college. So then after that, I was still on that a little bit because I wasn't going to college. Right. I was still out in the streets, hanging out, doing you know, doing different things here and there, and that was the focus still. Right, the focus was still going out. You go to clubs, we hanging out, we going trying to take trips or whatever, going to get girls, whatever. That was still the focus at that time, right? So when you start talking like you at this level where you like, I'm focusing on myself, and you gotta be talking about a level higher, and you gotta be talking about in your 20s, like late 20s. I'm guessing, right? I'm guessing, you know what I mean? Because like I didn't see that. There was not a lot of people like that at that level, right? In the 20s. There's not a lot of people focusing on myself and da. And what's crazy is my I would say my relationship. I'm not saying relationship, but I'm saying my story is similar to him. Like I met my wife when I was 21. She was 18. We dated for like 5 years, right? Yeah, 5 years. We got married in 2008, and we've been married ever since. 13 years in April. And I'm recording this in March 2022. So like I have the similar like thing. Like we've been together so long, right? We've been together for damn near 20 years, right? But we were dating, we dated, we went on and off, we went through careers that way. Like she went through her career. She the one that made me focus on getting a career at the time, because she was, you know, she didn't want somebody that was, you know, hanging out in the streets or whatever. So I focused on career moves then too. And we were doing that, and then we started to, you know, we broke up a few times, got back together, and then, you know, we basically got married. Like we figured like we was the best suit for each other. We had the same interests and goals. That's why we planned on getting a, you know, I would say by the time I'm 30, you know, she said by the time she's 30 we want to have a kid. And people used to tell us all the time, oh, you know, go get a kid, go have, you know, when you guys are having a kid. And we were focused on, you know, exploring and learning more about each other and growing and just enjoying that life before we had one, because we know once we had one, it's going to be all in. So, you know, at 30, then that's when we, you know, decided to have a kid. And, you know, so-called God blessed us. We had a kid when I turned 30, when I'm on my 30th, in my, you know, in that area. And then we went on from there, and then we focused on that. And we stay focused on the same goals, like, you know, raising my son, putting him in a good school, teaching them these certain things and everything, and then focusing on our marriage and going out and hanging out, vacationing, date nights and all that stuff. So anyways, so it's similar. So I've been out the dating pool, for 14, 15, 16 years probably. You know what I mean? So I ain't been dating. I'm not out and about. So it's similar, right? So, but I gotta look at it because now I'm here, right? And I'm looking down and I'm seeing people dating, and I'm seeing women, and I'm seeing men complaining about it and women complaining about it. And I gotta look back into it. I gotta get back into it to be able to talk about it, because I gotta be able to see it. Not get into it personally, but I'm saying get into it where I can understand where people are coming from. And I think that's, like I said, that's where we lose it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we when he starts talking about that plain higher level, like, not everybody's on that, right? A majority of people are not on that.
I got to see who they authentically were inside and out, because let's be clear, even at that time, I wasn't rocking with everybody. Just because a chick is bad don't mean that I'm asleep with her. Like, I don't even understand why a lot of guys like the same.
See, because you don't understand guys. That's the problem. Like, the more he talks, like, I'm like, who? I know he's got a group of people, you connected, you got friends, I get it, all that shit, right? But when you was younger, who are you hanging out with? Like, I don't know if he went to college. I didn't go to college. But college, to me, seemed more of those type of guys, right? And then I was in the streets, so it was definitely all of us was like that, right? The baddest chick, like, that's who you wanted. Like, even in high school, like, the baddest chick was the one you wanted to date, or you wanted to knock down or whatever. So it's like, I just don't see where he's coming with this concept that he doesn't understand. Like, he don't understand why a guy's going to, because we attracted to beauty, like we men. Like, men are attracted to beauty. That's what it is. That's we see women, we see men lust over women all the time. That's just nature. So when you say, like, you don't understand, what you mean? What? I don't understand what you don't understand. How you don't understand that? That's when this conversation started to go a little.
Type the same chick. Like, I don't understand why everybody trying to bang the same chick. It's like, yo, it's a gajillion chicks out here. Why y'all stuck on that one? It's a whole lot of them out here. Focus on everybody else. So it's not, you can't just take everybody that throw it at you or just smash just for the sake of smashing, because I don't get nothing out of that. Like, I
think Logic like, bro, what are you talking about? Because Logic look like he the type he'll smash him.
I connect with people. I got to vibe with them. I think that the experience is much more euphoric when you really, really connect with people on a different level, even way back then. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't looking to get married in general.
See, like, who is doing that? That's never been dating in the 90s. Man, I don't know if whenever that was dating. I know for sure in the 90s, all this connecting and euphorism and all that he's trying to express. Come on, bro. Like, that wasn't it. Like, you gotta be honest, man. You gotta be honest and tell the truth. Because now you got people out here, 20s, kids, teens, and they all hearing you, and it sounded like that's not where their head is at. That's not how people are thinking. I get it, man. Like, I agree with everything he say, especially, like, telling the kids to focus. Like, I don't want my son, I hate even joking about, oh, that's your girlfriend. I don't want him to focus on no women, no nothing. Focus on getting at what you need to get at, being on your purpose, getting there and making that happen. And, through that process, you'll meet the person that you're supposed to meet. God willing. That's what will happen. And that's what I want him to focus on. I don't want to focus on chasing no girls. Oh, she's cute. I don't do none of that. My son's 10, and I won't do it even when he gets older. Because I'm not focusing him on that. He's got to focus on his purpose. And I understand all that. But you're talking about somebody who wasn't raised with a father, like, in and out of his life all the time. So nobody was pushing me that way either. I just went into the streets and everybody was doing this, and that's what I did. And that's the majority of people are doing now, as we speak. So you talking to a totally different level. The level you talking is up here. Everybody up here is listening. They go, oh yeah, that makes sense. But down here and below, they not listening, right? It's just levels of thinking that you looking right over.
I was so busy working on myself that I wasn't paying attention to nobody, and she just became the most visible person to me because she was the most authentic and dope, and she spent the most time with me that allowed me to see who she was in every aspect of her life. But I was never focused on any chick. It wasn't about them.
I don't know. I think you have to prepare for the title that you want. So as far as with men, and I hear men say it a lot of the times where I'm not ready to be married because I'm not financially stable, because I'm not ready to commit to one person. So I think a lot of men that when they get ready, they understand what it takes to be a husband. So they make sure financially.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm just gonna give you the honest truth about it. Some of that is bullshit. Like most of the times, that's bullshit, and that's just being honest, truthful. Most of the time, it's bullshit. They just don't want to get married. It's not about the time. It's not about the money, right? It ain't about. They just don't want to get married, right? They just don't want to be stuck with one woman. And I hear this all the time. People ask me, I have conversations with people all the time. I'm 14 years married, and it's like, one woman all the time, right? The same woman, the same, I don't want to get too off base, but like the same woman every time, right? That thing, or just hanging out with the same, what I mean? Like I get it all the time, and that's what that's what men are scared of most of the time. That I talk to them, the people that I know, and like I said, everybody's got a different group of people, but they talk about that, and then and the money wise, it don't even matter. Like it's not even a thing with the money, because you're gonna get the girl that's at your money level anyways, right? You're gonna get the money level person in that arena. You know what I mean? Or for it doesn't even matter. For the most part, you could be at a high level of money and you're gonna still drop down low and pick up somebody who's not at your same income level, right? Men will drop for beauty. Will drop all the way to the bottom and pick up somebody who's working at Walgreens, right? And women won't do the same thing. That's why they got Walgreens looking at CEOs. So
they're straight, they have a career. So I think that's preparing a man to be marriage minded. For a woman is the same. It's because we're not trained, a lot of us, to be a wife. And I think it's something completely different from just being out here on your own, going to school, working, than being with a man, being submissive to a man, making sure the man is a leader. If you haven't seen that in the household, then you have to learn it. If you see it in the household, and if you're trained up to be it, then that marriage minded comes in at a smaller age. So
Rita wasn't trained to be a wife either, at all. Not even remotely. Rita wasn't trained to be a wife at all, and I think that
I can't speak
what a wife.
And this is another thing. People love to be talking about anecdotal shit. This anecdotal. No, your shit is different, right? And it's the same thing I'm trying to explain about my marriage. Like my shit is different. I can't explain my marriage. Like I can't explain my marriage to regular people. It's not really a normal thing that happens. Maybe it is. I don't know the statistics. I'm just saying, like, from people I'm around, it's not a normal thing. Like you ain't meeting at 18, 21, getting married, staying married 15 years, right? It's just not a normal thing. So when she says that, like, and granted, my wife, her mother was married, father, all that stuff. So they had ins and outs of that. But you know what I mean? She knew what marriage was. So you know what I mean? I get all that. But he always using this anecdotal shit about himself. That's not reality. When you're talking to a general population, you might be a unicorn. You possibly could, right? So you got to take that into account. That's not norm. But you got to look at the norm, right? If you're out in the streets, you're out in the world, the norm, right? You could be on anything, social media. You see the norm of people what they doing, pictures, where they at, what they doing, what's they Saturdays looking at, what the Sundays looking like, what they focus on, what they complain about. Like you see the generalization, like you see it. You can't focus on your anecdotal experience and then use that as a topic, as something to move people with all the time.
Well, that might be for Rita. But for a lot of women, and a lot of women will tell you, as far as even when you call them quote unquote modern women, well, they're modern women because we're used and we're trained of doing things on our own. You got married to Rita when she was younger. A lot of us are not getting married until we're in our 30s or late 30s.
True.
So we do have to train and be marriage minded and understand what we've been taught, how we've been trained is not going to work in a conducive marriage.
Okay, so
that's
let me ask you a question.
Marriage minded is I have to change the way that I was taught in this society, being a feminist, being this. I have to rechange, rethink, higher learning, relearn. So that is becoming marriage minded, is understanding that what I was taught, how I was raised, I can't do this in a marriage. I can't. over talk all the time and do that in a marriage. So it is changing your mindset.
Let me tell you something, and I'm gonna pass the mic after this. I've had an epiphany lately. I don't have a problem with feminists at all. Like, I've evolved to the point where I realize that feminism is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, because what we find is that the reason why your grandparents and the people that came before us finessed us and they messed us up is because the only difference is that they didn't have any other choice. Women didn't have anywhere to go. The problem with guys today, and the reason why y'all not choosing them, is because you don't want to subject yourself, and women are inherently not going to date down. The beauty in feminism is that when women can choose for themselves, do they still want to rock with you? It forces people to compete even harder and not just rely on the fact that you're a man.
See, this is when he gonna go down this path. I understand a bit of it, right? I understand that what he's saying is that now you know what I mean, women, because now they don't have to just. I don't believe they ever did that. I don't believe that any woman just went to a man because they just went to a man. I believe they did still pick, right, the man that they wanted or the man that they were gonna be with, right? They picked them. They weren't forced to go. It's not arranged marriages. So, like, back in the 50s and the 30s and the 20s and the 1900s, I believe they still saw a man. For some reason, either he was financially there or he was just, maybe it was looks. I don't know what it was, but they still chose the person that they were with at the time, right? They chose that person, rock with them. The only difference is today and yesterday, right? I mean, and yesteryears was that, there was no getting out of it. You went in it, you went into it, full bore, you left, both feet in, jumped 4 feet in, you went in, right? You was sinking or drowning with the boat. You wasn't jumping out the boat. And now you can jump out the boat. So that's a difference. Another thing is, not even with that, is when he talks about the feminine, there's layers to feminist movements. There's not like this one set thing. Like the feminist movement that's talking about, but then again, now you're gonna get into this too. So it gets into a point where like you putting men to compete for the women that's on the board. There's more women than men. So anyways, that's a whole nother thing. But you're talking about this level that they have to level up. He wants men to level up. I'm guessing that's what he's saying.
In order to get a girl. So now you got to show up. Right now, it's not enough to just be a man, because way back in the day, there used to be barriers to entry. You used to have to pay a dowry. You used to have to meet certain expectations in order to get married. Really, what you're seeing is that the reason why people are complaining is because they can't compete. Now, I understand if women can complain, right? Because I don't care what women think. It's not about them from my perspective, because I'm a man. But from a man's perspective, if you can't compete, and you blaming it on feminism because you can't be the man that you need to be and find one, if you can't find one woman and you're blaming it on feminism, then that's a problem for you. I don't have a problem with it, because guys that's winning has never.
See, here we go. And then he goes back to this, the guys that's winning thing. This is what I say. You hear, your horizon, everything you see is here. You don't see here, right? And majority of people are here, right? I don't know what Antoine, I never looked it up, really don't care. Right? Nothing about none of that. So, his level millionaire, whatever, multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever, right? I don't think he's that, but whatever. So I don't care. What I'm saying is now you start to survey the area like, they're competing for these guys right here. That's you talking about the upper echelon. You're talking about 1, 5, 10% of the population, right? As men, right? So the women competing, you're talking about this competition thing. There isn't no competition, because those men just pick from anybody. They don't compete for anything, right? There's no competition for those guys. You're not in competition. You're just winning, and this is, you get to choose. Even though you could still choose a bad one and end up getting, divorced, all your money taken, whatever, and, have some craziness going on. So that doesn't make a difference either way. But this whole because the problem is you're changing. It's not even that. You're just changing the dynamic of a man-woman relationship. You changing that by adding these other factors on it. And you got to explain to me why marriage is so bad right now and why we can't stay married. You got to explain that to me, because you're saying the rise of feminism is good, right? And you say you have no problem with it, right? I have no problem with it. Of course you don't. You married, first of all. Secondly, you've been married for I don't know how long, probably as long as I've been married. So of course you don't have a problem with it. You're not dating, right? So you're not out in there dating. You're not somebody who probably is making a good amount of money, but you keep running these women that want all these different things, from you, right? So, or whatever the situation is, right? I don't like complainers either. I don't like people complaining. I hate complainers. I hate whiners. I tell my son, that's the worst to me. But what I'm saying is, you're still not, you're looking at it from a view that's higher than everybody else, and that's the problem. Like you can't reach the people with that type of view, because that don't make sense to me, right? What he's saying, not totally.
Had a problem with women in the first place.
Well, I understand that there's different waves of feminism, but when I'm speaking about, it's not that men have a problem in getting women. Our problem is getting married and staying married. Why
Bingo.
is that? Maybe because
bingo. That's the problem. I don't know what. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where he going on this tangent, where he woke up on, but like that's the problem. That's what I just said. Getting women is nothing. And you want to layer the women, the baddest to the baddest or whatever, right? If you're saying the baddest, because and that's what I'm saying. He had this conversation before where he talks about men look at beauty, right? Men, we don't look at your income. We don't count how much you're making, right? And he says that's the one. Our number one, women number one is resources, status type of thing, right? And he says this, and then he goes on this tangent about this. You're not making any sense, because men could pick. There's a broke dude with a bad girl, with a baddie, right? The baddest one, whatever you want to put as a bad one, right? He has one. He broke as fuck, right? But he got one. I seen it all the time. Like she was beautiful. Could have been a model type of thing, right? That don't make no difference. Like it doesn't make a difference at the end of the day, right? That's what I'm saying about we competing for. Then it's gonna go back to like, what are we in relationships for? Are we in relationships to get married and stay together and build with somebody, or what are we in there for? We've been married all this time. That's why I said he's starting to, and I'm not talking to Antoine specifically. I'm just saying, when you get to that level, you get to different levels, marriage-wise, you've been married a long time, status, income, whatever it is, fitness, whatever it is, you start to look, and it's not as easy as you lay it out to be, right? There's principles, there's certain values, there's certain things to stand on, but it's not, you start to not speak into those people, is what I'm trying to say.
We don't know how to be married. Maybe because we haven't seen it. Maybe because we wasn't trained or taught to be it. So it's not even the essence of, is there a problem with you getting a woman or being in a relationship? How do you stay married? And especially when you get to a particular age, when you've been doing it by yourself for such a long time, you're stuck in your ways, and now you want to be married and be with someone in the house when you're used to doing it on your own. You have to change your mind state.
You don't, because if you under the right type of man, he gonna change it for you. You're going to inherently fall into your femininity because he's not going to put you in a place where you got to compete for resources and need you in order to pay the bills.
Where is this man at? Where are these men at? They got to be the top 10% people, man. If you look at the average man, what the average man makes in the world, in the country, right? Then that means that all these average men, they not getting married. There's no marriage going on. So you would just be adding on to what is already the problem, that we're not staying married, right? So I don't understand where you're going with this. This whole thing, because right now you'd have to be super alpha, right? You got to get above that, because women are already out there doing their own thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, now you put more, and there's not a level for that yet. The level's not open there yet. I'm just confused.
It's a certain level of leadership that you're going to fall under by default because that's your inherent nature as a woman. Yes, some things can be learned and some things are learned behavior, but instinctually, women are still who they are when they get under a certain type of guy. And when a certain dude moves through the room, and Mr. Logic, it's true, me and you connected in person the other day, and I'm not talking about me, I'm not talking about you, but just on an observation level, when a certain dude or when certain people move through the room, women inherently get up under his leadership.
What are you talking about, bro? That's what I said. I don't think you're not talking to women. You might be going out there, you might be getting the looks, you might be getting people to come to you and all that shit. I get all that. You might be doing all that shit. But like, that's good. They're gonna get them to you, right? They're attracted to your status, your how you walk and how you move. But you're talking about the changing the mindset of them going to where they listen to you, where they submit to you, right? To where all this stuff. That's not the same. That's not the same as getting the look or getting them to follow you or getting to whatever. That's different. You're talking about attracting them. That's what I think you're talking about, because you're talking about him walking through the room. So what? The girl submitted to you and said, "Marry me today. I'll submit to you today." Is that what they told you? Like, what are you talking about, man? And if you look at, and I don't want to keep dragging on about it, but like I said, check me out, Real Talk with Mo. I think he was way off base. He going way, I don't know what he woke up on. Maybe he ain't had no coffee or something. But check me out, Real Talk with Mo. That's where you only gonna get the real talk. www.cblifestyleapparel.com, and we out of here.